It's Mazzy here, and I think I'm going to jump into some Beatles shit because I'm going to answer some questions from a Beatle thread. Calico Silver, Jeff, another YouTube vinyl community channel, has asked a series of 15 questions for Beatle fans. I tend to stay away from, although I'm a huge Beatle fan, you can tell by, see those three shelves, three across, and all the way down is my Beatle record collection. My CDs are elsewhere. I tend to stay away from a lot of the Beatle threads, the major Beatle threads in the Beatle channels. Although I love them, I don't watch them on a regular basis. And no offense to the channel owners, I steered away from doing a full-on Beatle channel because as much as I love the Beatles, grew up listening to the Beatles, obsessed with the Beatles, they started all this shit in my life. I tend to sort of shy away, but Jeff came up with 15 questions and I want to answer these. I want to support his channel. I think he's more of a Stones fan, so these are Beatle questions coming from a Stones point of view. Maybe? Stones? No, but he likes the Beatles. What am I saying? I don't know. So I'm going to answer them to the best of my ability. And feel free to comment. I will put a link to Jeff's channel to this series of questions. Okay. The first question, red or blue? Of course, if you're a Beatle fan, that's all you have to say. And you know what he's referring to. The red and blue albums, the 1973 comps that came out several years after the Beatles split up, each 2 record sets. Now, first of all, a little tip. Yeah, there's a lot of used copies out there you can get, and if you get a used copy, great. They're analog. Then for a while there was digital versions and everything, but in 2014, QRP pressed, I think it was QRP, these analog versions, 20 classic all analog, mastered from original master tapes. If you can find these from just literally 6 years ago, they're pristine and they're really, really well done. Really well done. Analog. Now, red or blue? I'm splitting the baby. I'm cutting the baby in half. I'm taking the second LP of the red and the first LP of the blue. So you got, starting off with Help, you got To Hide Your Love Away, We Can Work It Out, Day Tripper, Drive My Car, Norwegian Wood. Oh my God, what a great series. Nowhere Man, Michelle, In My Life, Girl, Paperback Writer, Eleanor Rigby, Yellow Submarine. I could throw out Yellow Submarine. It's fun, but it's on there, so I can't throw it out. And I'm going to take the first disc of blue, and of course that is Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, Sgt. Pepper, With a Little Help, Lucy in the Sky Diamonds, A Day in the Life, one of the best records they ever made, All You Need Is Love, I'm the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, Magical Mystery Tour, Lady Madonna, Hey Jude, and Revolution. So you don't get the White Album stuff here. You don't get Let It Be and Abbey Road stuff. Hey, sorry, I'll get that elsewhere. So that's my answer to that. Question 2, US or UK albums? Well, of course, the UK albums, I have them all, several configurations. I have blue box sets. I have early 70s pressings, stereo and mono, UK. Except, I'm making an exception here, or an addition. The Beatles' second album, the American configuration, is the best rock and roll record the Beatles ever made. Starting with Roll Over Beethoven, ending with She Loves You. Great friggin' rock and roll record. And I'm going to do the American issue of Rubber Soul. More of a country, folky flavor all throughout, starting with I've Just Seen a Face. Norwegian Wood, You Won't See Me, Think for Yourself, The Word, Michelle, It's Only Love, Girl, I'm Looking Through You, In My Life, Wait and Run for Your Life. Obviously not the way the Beatles intended to be, but the first time, the best time, aside from the Beatles' second album, that Capitol Records made a comp possibly better than the original. Okay, where did I go? I went to pick this up. The first 2 albums, Please Please Me or with the Beatles. So this is kind of those, you know, I don't like to compete. I don't think we should have to compete, but we're doing it here because that's what the contest is all about. Why does one have to be better? You could be in moods, right? Okay, so it's with the Beatles or Please Please Me, the first two albums. Well, anyway, I'm going with Please Please Me. Just to show you, this is a different version. This is a 1977. It's like a 100th anniversary of recorded sound anniversary edition of Please Please Me. But I do have earlier versions of it. But I'm going to throw this in because I think this is even more important in certain ways. Die Beatles, the German Horzu copy, the best sounding version of Please Please Me. Same configuration, song list, different cover, incredible sounding record. If you can find a copy of this, German import, grab it. Long out of print. It's highly in demand. Those in the know it, and this is the best Please Please Me has ever sounded right here. Okay, next question is the last two albums. So Let It Be or Abbey Road. I'm going with Abbey Road. How can you not, right? Abbey Road, you know, and it's the answer to a question, why do the Beatles cross the road? To take a picture for an album cover. Okay, favorite disc on the White Album. You know, I got to go with the first disc. This is an original stereo top loader. The top loader, that's how it came out in the UK originally, with black inner sleeves. You can't really see anything on a white album, right? It's white. It's friggin' white. Easy question, I'm going with disc 1, although I love disc 2, and I'm a fan of Revolution number 9, Avant-Garde. Oh, the most underrated Beatles album. I'm going with something different, not part of their canon, not part of the original thing, a later release, but I'm going to the Yellow Submarine song book. I'm actually a fan of Yellow Submarine, even the George Martin score, but when they remastered the film in 1999, they put out this. It's basically a reconfigured, sort of a soundtrack. They call it soundtrack. So it's next to Magic Mystery Tour. I think it's the best Beatles psychedelic album. Yellow Submarine, Hey Bulldog, Eleanor Rigby, Love You Too. All Together Now, Loosing the Sky, Think for Yourself, Pepper, Friends, Baby a Rich Man, Only Northern Song, All You Need Is Love. When I'm 64, Nowhere Man, and the longer version of It's All Too Much, the George Harrison song. This is, I think, their underrated record. Okay. Favorite album opener? I'm picking Help. I think Help just explodes. I mean, Hard Day's Night would have been another pick, but Help just explodes out of your stereo, your record player. And of course, the American version started out with that James Bond kind of ish lead, just surfy guitar intro. And when that came out, when we got that record as kids in 1965, what the fuck was that? But it was so great, and it fades out of the guitar bit, and then Help starts. And of course, what an amazing album opener. Favorite cover song. My favorite cover song by the Beatles is John Lennon's vocal from With the Beatles, and it's the Smokey Robinson's song, You Really Got a Hold on Me. Tighter. His voice on this is so fabulous. John Lennon's version of Smokey Robinson's You Really Got a Hold on Me. Favorite song no one talks about much. A very favorite song line. People like to kind of shine it off, but it really got me into a whole new genre of music. But that is the opener of side 2, George Harrison's Within You and Without You. Great Indian musicians on that, and just a gorgeous sort of classical Indian hybrid of pop music. And, you know, I mean, unfortunately, because of the Beatles, I think every other band started using sitars in the late 60s, mid to late 60s. And then every time there was drug references in motion pictures, they always would play sitar music. I think Ravi Shankar was not very happy with the connection there. Okay. Favorite George Harrison song on the Beatles album? Well, I'm going to go back with Within You and Without You. I just think it's a gorgeous piece of music. It's a total original piece of music at the time. Of course, Taxman would probably be one of my other choices. George Harrison's great. Here Comes the Sun. How can you not love that, right? Something is beautiful, but to me, I've heard it so much, and it's like, okay, I get it. Beautiful song. Frank Sinatra's favorite Lennon and McCartney song, by the way. Okay. If you can only have one album henceforth, which one? You know, it's not necessarily my favorite, but I'm going to be greedy and take the double album. So I'll take the White Album just so I have more music. Revolver is probably my favorite Beatle album. I love Masquerade Tour, I like them all, Sgt. Pepper, but I think I would take the White Album on that one. Another favorite song. We're talking about the George Harrison song I forgot. The final version of It's All Too Much on Here. What a great psychedelic masterpiece that people don't think about. So it's a song, it can answer several questions here. People don't think about It's All Too Much. It's just at the end, it goes on and on with that recurring drum and all the horns and the psychedelia. And it's just, the version here, which is longer, I believe, than the regular version on the regular Yellow Submarine album. It's just stupendous, and it sounds great. I'm a fan of, this is all remastered, remixed, actually, Beatles songs. And I'm actually a fan of the remixes on this song track more than Giles Morton's recent remixes of the White Album and Abbey Road and Sgt. Pepper. Just a personal taste. I love that. Okay. Sgt. Pepper or Satanic Majesty's Request. So it's a Beatles versus Stones question. And Sgt. Pepper or Pet Sounds. So the Beatles or Stones or the Beatles versus, Sgt. Pepper. So let's take a moment with this one. Come on, look at that cover. It's hard to imagine what this was like for you younger folks in 1967. When this came out, there was nothing like this. This also led to invent rock criticism. Time magazine did a cover story on this album. It was totally different. First time, as I recall, lyrics were on an album by an artist, and of course they were on the back cover. So we sat and just went through this whole thing. Insert the great cutout. So, Satanic Majesty's Request, Rolling Stones. The famous quote by Marianne Faithfull is, the Rolling Stones didn't know how to do psychedelia. They could do blues better than the Beatles, but they didn't know how to do psychedelia. I love this record. It came out the same year. By the way, the same photographer did both these covers. Mick? Keith? Couldn't you get someone else? Be a little original? Now, Peter Blake designed this. Michael Cooper photographed it. Photographed by Michael Cooper. The Beatles put "Thank You Rolling or Little Rolling Stones" in there. "Thank You Rolling Stones," mixed in the whole beautiful cover art. The Beatles have heads of John, Paul, George, and Ringo snuck in here. It's hard to see on the 3D lenticular cover, but they're there. I like this record. Why can't we sing this song all together? She's a rainbow. She's like a rainbow. It's a great record. Now, but Sgt. Pepper's the better record, of course. Now, here's another side of it. The Beatles versus Pet Sounds. I'm going to still go with Sgt. Pepper. Now, Pet Sounds is definitely the more cohesive record. It has it really fits together better than Sgt. Pepper. Sgt. Pepper's a better record. This is a friggin' fantastic record that hardly anyone bought. I shouldn't say that, but it wasn't the triumph until a decade later when Paul McCartney started saying one of his favorite records was Pet Sounds, and everyone jumped on the Pet Sounds bandwagon. I didn't have it when it came out. I didn't get it until the 1970s, probably 73 or 74 is when I first finally got Pet Sounds. Commercially, they probably should have put Good Vibrations on here, but they didn't. That would have been sort of just to lift it up a little bit. I know Beach Boys fanatics might say otherwise, but you're asking me, it's my opinion, my questions. Okay, and now are we at the end yet? Which Beatle book? I'm going to reverse, insert, and come back for that question. Okay, the book question. So I did a little reversal here. This is a good portion, about half of my Beatle book collection. I have maybe a couple thousand Beatle books. Every 60 seconds, a new Beatle book is released in the world about a different subject. This is a pretty good book, Beatles England, long out of print. This is the rare hardback edition. It's the first Beatle travel guide book. Shameless self-promotion, but you can't really get it unless you know somebody. Unless you buy a used copy, which I'm sure you can get for $2 or $3 on eBay, and they'll charge you $5 to ship it. If you really want a good overview book biography, Mark Lewison. Now, the good and bad of this, there's going to be 3 volumes, but probably the other 2 volumes won't be out. Probably the first one in the next 4 to 5 years, then maybe about 6 to 10 years after that. So he's doing it in the 3rd, but this is probably the most intense overview of the Beatles you'll ever read. I like, when I was a kid, this is the first one that came out when I was a kid, during the Beatles' career, like 1968, I believe it came out, the Hunter Davies biography. But, it's sort of in cahoots with the Beatles, but it was, when I was a kid, I remember loving this book, because we didn't know about these stories. So Brian Epstein was kind of involved in getting this. It was authorized by the band. This is a fun book about business and really a hysterical book. Richard DiLello, who worked for Apple Records, this is The Longest Cocktail Party. It's about the ride of Apple, the company, Apple, the Beatles company, the highs, the lows, the misfortunes, the loss of money. This is a classic book. There are different versions of this. The Insider's Diary of the Beatles, their $1 Million Apple Empire, its wild rise and fall. I'm a big fan of anthologies too. This came out a couple years after John was killed, and it's a bunch of essays from Rolling Stone magazine on John Lennon by Jonathan Cott, Robert Christgau, Ben Fong-Torres, Ralph Gleason, John Rockwell, Robert Palmer. So a lot of the best and most known rock writers, rock and roll writers of the day. This is a good overview of the Ballad of John and Yoko. I have the original Genesis publication, limited edition, but mine is more or less an autobiography of George Harrison. It's just great to occasionally read from the horse's mouth. Not a definitive thing, but it was pretty nicely done. This is done around 1980, I think 1980 on this, 79 or 80 as I recall. Okay. Which 1970 album, Plastic Ono Band, McCartney, or All Things Must Pass? It's definitely All Things Must Pass, with Plastic Ono Band coming in at a close second. But this was not only a #1 album, it was a surprise. My Sweet Lord, Phil Spector's production, works for this. An original Dylan song opens it up. It's got a 3rd disc of jammy stuff that people say they don't listen to, but it's pretty cool stuff. But it's just a beautiful, has a good feeling, a really upbeat feeling. Great lyrics from George Harrison. McCartney's a cool record, not the same. I do love Ringo's Buku's of Blues and his Sentimental Journey album, especially Buku's, because I really like the country album. But there's nothing to compare with this album. 3-record set, pent up songwriting for George Harrison. He lets it all out here like diarrhea. I'm sorry to say it like that, but fantastic record, the best of those 5 records. And the last question, the favorite album by that other band on Apple Records, Badfinger, was released on Apple Records. So Badfinger did 5 records on Apple. The first one, I think, was only released in the United Kingdom. I don't have it on vinyl. And that's their first album under the name The Ivies. And this is Maybe Tomorrow. Of course, there's some of these songs would appear on the Magic Christian Music. So I'm going to kind of take this out of the mix, not even consider this one. But it's a cool record. It was released by Apple on CD. Is that in the 90s? My guess is. Who knows? 1992. So that's cool that they put it out with the original cover. So we got the Magic Christian. I have two copies. This is a overpressing, which is the record chain I worked with, Record Factory, would have their cutouts called overpressings. So this is a sealed overpressing because all the Apple records were released as cutouts for a while in the mid-70s. So I picked them pretty much all up cheap because they sold for $2.98. I probably got them for $1.50, $1.75. Great record. Of course, it opens up with "Come Together," which was Paul McCartney's song written for the theme for Magic Christian, the Ringo Starr, Peter Sellers motion picture, but Badfinger recorded it. We got No Dice, Badfinger. This is a cool record, produced by Jeff Emmerich, who is the Beatles engineer. And of course, it has the great "No Matter What." What a great single. And one of my favorite songs, "Without You." Ironically, it was a big hit for Harry Nilsson, "Without You." Then we got "Straight Up." I think it's Todd Rundgren. Yeah, Todd Rundgren and George Harrison produced one song, "Day After Day." Oh, Harrison produced 4 songs. But it's got "Baby Blue," which is a great song that ended the series of Breaking Bad. Really great song. Badfinger, "Straight Up." And their last one, "Ass," which is a whole, no comment on that. Not a great record. So I'm going to go with Magic Christian Music. Every song is great. Come and Get It's Wonderful, "Crimson Ship." I would say one of the most beautiful songs on here is a 6-minute, I think it's 5 or 6-minute version song of "Carry On Till Tomorrow." Gorgeous record. It kind of opens up the film on Magic Christian, and it's a gorgeous song. So, great power pop rock and roll record. This is probably my second choice. No Dice from 1971, I believe. But this record, incredible, I was going to say magical Christian music. Magical Christian music. I shouldn't talk about politics or religion, right? Magic Christian music, produced by Tony Visconti. There you go. David Bowie connection. And ended up, was married to Mary Hopkins, another Beatle connection, another Apple artist. Mary Hopkins, those were the days. Okay, Calico Silver, cool questions. I hope I answered them. I answered them correctly because they're my opinions. So Mazzy loves you, and we'll see you next time.